Hello everyone, Howard here. Today I'm taking a quick look of the iconic Rolex Daytona, the older model on my left hand, the 116500LN, and the newer model 126500LN. I've been doing watch reviews for the last 6 years. It has about 100, close to 100 videos, and even myself, I was a little bit surprised. I've only done 2 Daytona reviews in the last few years: a 18K white gold Oyster Flex rubber band and a platinum one. I haven't done the iconic stainless steel, either the black one or white one, but it's long overdue. So today I'm taking a quick look at both of these. So the one on the left, again, is 116500. That was introduced in 2016. The one on the right, 126500LN, that was introduced in 2023. This is the Panda one because it's the white dial with the black sub-dial ring, and there's also the black dial version. For the on-trend eyes, regular consumer, they may not be able to tell the difference, but there are definitely a few noticeable differences if you're watching through this or if you follow the watch industry. But let me talk some basic stuff first, right? The size is generally, not very noticeable. They're both 40 millimeter case. Although, even though they're both very thin, the 2016 one is 12.2 millimeters thick, and the one on the right, the new one, 2023, was 11.9. So the difference is very small, 0.3 millimeters. The lug-to-lug, interestingly, it's a little bit different. So the lug-to-lug, end of the lug to end of the lug, for the old one was 46.4, and for the new one's actually slightly longer, 47.3. Overall, the weight is very similar. The one on the left, the older one, is 4.99 ounces or 140.5 grams. The one on the right, the new one, 5.1 ounces, 143.5 grams. So these are just some of the size differences, but again, like I said, you can't, just by looking at it without the measurement, it's almost identical. But what are the differences? I think, the Daytona, everyone knows what they are: chronograph, great watches. The key differences, I would say there are 5. Obviously, I got a lot of these, sourced from SwissWatchExpo.com, so I'll put their name on the screen. It's to their credit. Number 1 is the caliber difference. The older one is a 4130 caliber. The newer one is 4131. Obviously, you cannot see it from the back because it's not a see-through back. The difference is the new one, 4131 caliber, has enhanced efficiency and reliability, basically for a smoother or quieter, automatic winding. And also, if you can see some of the photos of the movement itself that's published online, 4131 also has a little bit more refined finish. There's some polished grooves, and basically, Rolex is trying to showcase, the dedication to the precision and the luxury. So that's on the movement. Because the power reserve, they're the same, 72 hours, water resistance, 100 meters, not much difference. The metal is the same. It's a 904 L stainless steel, which is, exceptional for corrosion and the scratch resistance. And the ceramic bezel with the ceramic chrome, a thin layer of platinum in the numerals. So these are really cool numerals. But the bezel, I would say that's number 2 difference. Number 1 is the caliber. Number 2 is the old one. It's just a black. I'll put it down. The new one. It's just a black bezel. There's no metal edges. You can see it's a black all the way around. Full black. But the new one, they actually added a metal ring on the outside. You can see a direct look. You can see it a little bit at the edge. There's a little, like this angle right here at the bottom. You can see there's this metal ring. And from the side angle, you can see a little bit better. The bottom of the bezel is actually metal now. So that's kind of a one of the, I will say, bigger differences. Full black on the old one, full black on the side. Then you have the metal ring. You have the metal ring. So that's the bezel. Functionally, I mean, it's the same. You use it to track speed, things like that. The other thing you might notice right away, which is, what I noticed right away is, in fact, I just noticed this. I'm going to add this. The color of the dial are a little bit different. So besides the caliber, the bezel ring, the third difference is the color. The old one looks more white. The new one on the right seems a little bit more gray. I don't know. Yeah, I think even not on camera, it looks more obvious. On camera, you can still see this one's more white. This one has a little bit more gray color. Interesting. I didn't notice that when I was doing my research, looking at the photos. But whiter and grayer. So that's a grayer. That's the third difference. The fourth difference is you can see that the inside subdials are, in the older one, they're a little bit more towards the edge of the index. The newer one, they seem to be moved in a little bit closer to each other. So that leaves a little bit more extra space, seems, on the dial. Looks a little bit more wider space. For example, you look at the 6 o'clock, the subdial ring is nearly, it's very close to the 6 o'clock index, but here has a little bit more space. So it's just one difference. The other one is, you notice the indexes are fatter on the old one and skinnier, and I would say, was it a little bit longer? Maybe tiny bit longer. I can't really tell just by looking at but definitely they're skinnier. You can see skinnier indexes with more, slightly sharper corner triangle versus here. Personally, I like the thinner one. It just looks a little bit more streamlined. And the other big difference is, it might be a little bit difficult to hold both. Let's look at the shape of the case, especially the lug. So if you look at the older one, the end of the lug is more flat at the bottom right here, left and right. It's more of a flatter surface. And the new one, you almost feel like you have the flatter surface in the middle, but towards the end, it sort of angled down more. Then you have the last couple of millimeters, I would say 3 millimeters of flat. Let me try to demonstrate together if you can see the difference a little bit more clearly. More flatter corner at the bottom. Here on the right, the new one, flatter, then dips down a little bit, dips down. So the design supposedly is to, I guess, looks more streamlined and also a little bit more contemporary, I guess. The bracelet, obviously, it's the same bracelet, Oyster, solid links, but the new one might be slightly broader. Slightly, I mean, it's really difficult to tell. But I think the new one might be slightly broader and slightly, but it's really hard to tell, honestly, by looking at it. But I guess the purpose is to make the outer links broader to improve the articulation for more ergonomic fit. I'm not sure if you can feel the difference, but I'll give it a try a little bit later. But other than that, the watch, again, like I said, they look very similar to each other. Beautifully done, polished, mostly polished surface. The third, the outer link is satin, the middle link is polished, and it has the standard Oyster oyster lock clasp with easy link extension for 5 millimeter adjustment. It's the same on both. This one as well. Yeah, so I mean, again, it's the differences are noticeable for if you're into the watches and if you follow the the Daytonas, but to normal folks, it's hard to tell. But like I said earlier, man, I'm a little bit surprised to see the dial color difference. The white one looks quite nice, the old one. The new one just looked more muted white. I mean, it even has a tiny bit of a gray in there. That's interesting. And the hours and indexes obviously are 18K gold plated on the outside. Right, let's check out the chronograph function. Just loosen a little bit, then press. I'm trying to see if the chronograph hand movement, there's any difference. Honestly, it's tough to tell. I mean, both movement has the Rolex's Parachrome hairspring, which ensures the watch is resistant to shocks and temporary variations. So the core function, I mean, it's pretty much the same. I think movement certainly improved, but overall, I wouldn't say it's that much different. I mean, the old one, basically everyone agrees it's still very, very good. It's very robust. The new one's just a little bit more modern, a little bit more streamlined in terms of the dial design and also the case design. All right, 116500 on my wrist. My wrist is 6.5 inches, 16.5 centimeters. Again, 40 millimeter watch. For I would say my wrist is on the smaller end, the medium. It's definitely doable. Again, the end to end is 46.4. So I have right now, based on the watch position, I got a plenty space here, probably almost 1 centimeter, few millimeters here. So definitely it's not going to overhand the wrist. If I tighten it, you guys can see the gap in the corner is almost disappearing, but you can still see a little bit because of the flatter design. I suspect the new one will make that corner gap mostly disappear because of the newer design. Beautiful, very beautiful. Again, it's only 12.2 millimeters thick, so it's not thick at all. And for a small wrist, as I said in all my videos, even if it's slightly larger lug-to-lug, if it's not very thick, it shouldn't be a problem at all. All right, the new one, 126500LN, again, a great fit. But the lug-to-lug, as I mentioned, is actually based on my measurement, it's 47.3, 0.9 millimeters longer. So you can see here, still have plenty of space, and here some space. Overall, shouldn't be a problem for a smaller wrist. Again, beautiful watch. So if I tighten it, let's see. If I tighten it, it does look like the gap in the corner right here seems to be a little bit less obvious because of the newer sort of design. In the end, it kind of drops down. Then you got a 3 millimeter equal space there. Pretty good fit. All right, lastly, the price. So the 126500 on the right retails in the US for $15,500, 15500. right now is a February 2025. I don't remember if the price got up a little bit versus last year because Rolex raised the price of the gold by quite a bit, 7+%. I think for the stainless steel, they didn't raise the price as much this year. But on the secondary, I mean, obviously, unless you're a super high spender VIP, the Panda Daytona is impossible to get. Secondary market, based on what I've seen right now, it's closer to 36 to 37,000 for brand new unused, 37,000. The older one is more of a closer to 35,000, I would say. So there's a $2,000 difference. And if you're looking at the black one, I think this is one of the Rolex watches, just like the Explorer 2. The white one's a little bit more popular than the black one. The black one is about 2,000, in general, 2 to 3,000, potentially less than the white one. Again, secondary market, this one's a brand new one is maybe around 35. This one, 37. All right, again, this is a Rolex Daytona 116500LN on the left, 126500LN dash 0001 on the right. Take a final look here. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.